Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode, the final episode in this format anyway, or certainly in this format anyway, of Building a Nation with Polonia Warszawa. It is the Season 17 analysis days. Now obviously, when we move over to stream stuff, there won't be analysis stuff, but those of you that do like this sort of stuff, do not worry, you're going to be getting quite a lot of it with Huesca, because there's going to be a lot more emphasis on this sort of stuff throughout that save, and I'm genuinely super excited to get started with that, just because it's something I've never done before. And I hope it will go well. I mean, even if it gets to the point where perhaps it's not everybody's cup of tea, I do want to see if it can still perform well, because I want to just try something a little bit different, you know? I've done too much of the same stuff, maybe, same format for a little while, maybe just try something a little bit different, see how it goes. Anyway, going to do the squad report first. Petr Chabal, my man, still only has 112 appearances for us. It feels like he's been here for such a long time, and he kind of has. This year, 2 goals, 10 assists. I'm not sure how well that is in the grand scheme of things. I feel like he should have more assists for us. I really, really do feel like Petr Chabal should just have more in general. He's got 7 in the league. When you actually look at his career, like last season, he got 12 in the league. He's had a 2 season, which was a bit poor, and a 9. This year, I mean, look at his average ratings, though. They are so high. He does a lot for the team, obviously, aside from that. But I just feel like he should have more assists somehow. But still, absolutely love him. 5-star, 5-star. Easily the best bargain player I've ever bought for £70,000. And now he's worth 36 million. And if we were to somehow sell him, I mean, who's interested? Liverpool, the only one that's interested. I am a bit concerned about losing some of these players over the summer, because it's 2 seasons now where we've not won the Champions League. Even though our rep's going up, I'm still concerned about that, because last summer it looked a bit iffy, but that might have been because we got knocked out so early. Maybe this time the prestige is a bit higher. Anyway, moving down. Tiago Veras, the 23-year-old Portuguese left-back, 60 appearances now for us. This year he got 3 assists, you know, he's upped his game a little bit. He's got 3 goals as well for us, which I think all came last year, but slightly better. He's played a decent amount of matches for us so far. You know, he's not quite Leandro Albarracin just yet, but he's certainly improving, although he does have the sort of big matches, fairly susceptible to injuries. Not ideal, really. But still, I like the guy a lot, and hopefully he'll still have a long career with us. Vicente. What a man. A guy who I bought him because he was available. Now has 44 in 73 for us, and 15 caps for Brazil at the age of 28. He's really made that role his own. We've got so much quality in the centre of the park. 15 league goals for us this year. I mean, I think he didn't quite do as well as last year, where he got 19 in the league, and his overall performances weren't quite as good. But, you know, in 3 seasons at the club, he's hit double figures in the league in every single one of those seasons, and I can't really fault the guy, because he's done what, when I originally set this tactic out, if you remember right at the very start of this save, we had what was his name, was it Wisniewski or someone else, the guy that used to play alongside Piszczara, and it used to get us a shitload of goals from an attacking midfield spot. Him, yeah, he's never quite, yeah, basically. Donny Waterberg, this season he's just been put down the pecking order due to the signing of Marlon. He might be the sort of player that could leave, potentially, and we'd get a decent amount of money for him. You know, he's only made no league starts, only 8 substitute appearances, did get a goal, started 1 cup game and he got a goal there too, but he's just, his career's stagnated because we've just signed better players than us. He's got a decent goal scoring record though, to be fair. Zico, youngster, didn't really get much of a chance this year at all, in fact made 1 substitute appearance. I really should have let him go on loan, but there just wasn't a perfect deal at the point where we could have perhaps done that. Leandro Albarracin, 206 appearances for us now and over 100 caps for Peru. What a ledge. 9 assists this year, 2 goals, 9 assists. Pretty solid stuff. I mean, look at that. And 7.97 in the league is terrific. You know, he's got a goal for us this year. He's never been a huge fan of the assists. You know, in his entire career, he only has 48 assists. And yeah, all but 2. So we got 46 assists for us in the league and 9 goals in the end. Not a huge amount of those, but I still think he's pretty damn solid. Love the guy. I'd like to keep him here as long as possible. No one's interested in it as well, which is very useful. Gibran Almeida, first season at the club. 3 goals for us. He got an assist. He got a goal in the Champions League. I think he's done pretty solidly this year. We'll have to see how he does compared to some of the other guys to really see, particularly with the amount of money that he cost us. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, really. Rafael Broniszewski, the youngster, coming on that right-hand side to play behind for Posse and whatnot. He's got 4 goals for us this year, 2 assists. You know, he's not... Last year, I expected him to do big things. He didn't get as many games as he perhaps should have done. This year, a slight improvement on that, some goals and assists, but again, he's still a pretty young player at the age of 20, so there's a lot more to improve for this guy, and he does have some decent, and he's actually considered a wonder kid, which is a bit bizarre, but the game seems to consider a lot more players wonder kids this year than it did in previous years. Like, anybody and their mum seems to be a wonder kid these days. Mariano Bustos, one for the future, of course, quite far down the pecking, well, actually, no, look at that, 4 stars now. He's really coming along quite nicely, getting some games this season. He's only made 10 appearances in total for us, but when he's played well, and I'll be very interested to see, and he's a wonder kid too, see how he compares, in fact, some of these attributes in case we were to lose someone like Lamas, because I'm concerned that PSG are circling, and he has complained before, so that could be one that might end up, not accidentally, but like without my permission, leaving. Mauricio Coronel, probably one of the worst signings of this save. He just did not fit into this team at all, and he's actually only made 2 starts for this in the entire season, and that was a mistake, frankly. Montañez has done such a better job than him, it's unbelievable. Mateusz Zwigawa, this season, only got 8 goals while out on loan. Look at this, he's actually played an awful lot of games. He's 79 appearances he's got for Lechia now, and 33 goals for them, the 25-year-old Pole, and he's got 38 caps. He's not getting in the Poland national team anymore, unfortunately. But he's got a long career with us still. He's got 3 years left on his contract, plus a further 3 on extensions. You know, he's got 117 league goals in his career. He had that one really good loan spell, but his 2 previous loans, his next 2 loan spells to Lechia have sort of got progressively worse, or he's just not quite been able to be cutting it anymore, which is a shame for Olsvigs. We do love him, bless him. Firmino, this year, he just hasn't had the match time, really. He's got 7 goals in 8 starts, which is still very, very good, but with Paulo Jorge coming in, I think maybe renewing Firmino's contract was a bit of a mistake. He could still play for Poland, though, and I do like the guy an awful lot, and maybe moving on to another Polish side, if we can, would be an interesting choice for the future, perhaps. Eduardo Flores, obviously, he's out on loan at Lechia and will never, ever play for us. He's just a signing I made to stop him from moving. Kelvin Foposi, 83 appearances for us now, 35 goals. 11 goals and 15 assists this year. It's pretty decent, considering he's considered a bit injury-prone. He's actually not had as many injuries as you might imagine. How's his career shape up? Yeah, he got a lot less goals in the league this year, but he did put a better performance in overall and was far better from the assisting side of things. He's never quite managed to get a season where he got double figures in both. He's come very, very close on multiple occasions, but he really did lack in goals this year. Although weirdly in the Champions League he didn't. He got 6 goals in the Champions League in 13 appearances. So in the big games he clearly did step up when it mattered. So fair play to him on that one. Alberti Freitas, 201 appearances for us in his career so far. Love him to death. Club captain, 66 caps for Portugal now, the 28-year-old. He's been here, 10 years now? Huge fan of this guy. What an absolute stalwart. I wonder if he's going to be able to get a testimonial, or can we not do that unless they're announcing their retirement? We had all this problem with Bruno Bridges before, if you recall, because I feel like Freitas would be one of the players that could potentially be in for that. I want to check something. So he's just finished his 10th year at the club, signed for £3 million. What a bargain that was. What an absolute bargain. 24 goals he scored from centre-back. Yeah, I just had a look. We can't schedule a testimonial or anything like that, as I believe they have to have announced their retirement or something. There's all kinds of things that I wish we could do, but there we go. We didn't get one for Bruno Bridges, and it looks like Freitas might get one on stream, but he's still got a long career left, I would say. But we do love him a lot. Brian Gorosito, this year has been absolutely bloody phenomenal, and I don't know where it's come from. 164 appearances in total, but this year he's got 12 league goals and 17 in total, and he's mostly played deeper this year. Like, let's not make the mistake of thinking he played higher up. He didn't. He's had his best league goal scoring season since the year that he got 14, and he played a lot more games that year too. I'd argue this is the best season he's ever had in his career. Decent number of assists as well. He's really had it. He's been on it this season, and I'm a huge fan of that. I don't know what's changed about him, but I bloody love it. More of that, please. Christian Henningsen, he's been on loan at Watford this year. Not been great. I mean, I'm not surprised, really. I think he'll be off at the end of the season. Idshak, I don't know what happened with Bartolomei Idshak. He's the weirdest case, because he's a midfielder that came through, and I looked at him and thought, this guy's got the potential to be the best regen that we've ever had on FM. His starting ability was ridiculous. And he's just never... I mean, he's got 70 league appearances in total. He's played for Bayern Munich. Well, he never actually played for Bayern Munich. And yet he just doesn't seem to have quite found his feet. I actually think that he might be the sort of player that could move on in the summer, try a different side, see what he's capable of at a different Polish club maybe. I don't know, but he needs to do something for the good of his career. Juan Martin Iglesias, I mean, he's only conceded 51 goals in his entire career at Polonia in the league. That is insane. He only conceded 9 goals this season and get 29 clean sheets. I don't know if we can actually see his clean sheet statistics. 137 clean sheets in his career in 196 appearances. Utterly insane. Like, he is truly a godlike player. Like, okay, previous year 15, he hasn't poor, but look at that, 29 and look, 29 clean sheets, 7.06. What? Like, they really do need to look at that. It's so annoying. Jose Francisco, I was on the fence about letting him go, and he's done okay this year. Like, 12 appearances, he's got 2 goals, he's got 2 assists. He's just been a solid midfield player. Now he's worth £15 million and will be considered a star player for most Ekstraklasa teams. I suppose 3 stars is actually, yeah, fair enough. Carroll, this year, still pretty decent, actually, when you look at it. You know, 12 goals and 6 assists for the 23-year-old Pole. 45 caps for Poland now. He's probably one of Poland's star players, despite not really getting in our team that much. He's got 3 goals in the Champions League too. 2 assists. Let's just see how he's linked up to previous seasons. Not as many goals this year, and he actually played more games, but he did have a better average rating overall in the league, which is a very weird one. Same amount of assists, same amount of players of the match. I think he's still developing nicely, though. Definitely more to come from the lad. Huge fan of him. Be nice to see a bit more of him. The Llama. I had high hopes for this guy the moment we signed him. He just looked like the type of player that was going to do well for us. I figured with his height and his current attributes, he would be the next sort of Alberto Freitas type of player. And I don't think he's particularly let us down, although he has mainly played in the league. But, I mean, look at that. 7.84 this year. He has been an absolute rock at the back and part of that huge defensive setup. So really, really pleased for him. And that one, Blaise Lisic, 42 appearances, or 43, 37 goals, and 23 assists. 60 goals he has contributed to this year, be it by assist or... That is absolutely ridiculous. 8 goals in the Champions League as well. 5 assists there too. 23 goals in the league and 14 assists. 5 in the Cup as well. And 3 assists in that one. Even got a goal and an assist in the Super Cup. And still only has 4 caps for Poland. 2 Ballon d'Ors to his name at the age of 24. Like, he's got potential, like, greatest player of all time Polish players, definitely, written to him. You know, 192 appearances and he's got 89 league goals. Next year, he will hit 100 comfortably. And he's already the top scorer for Polonia in the history of the club at the age of 24. His best goal-scoring season by a country mile this year. Decent assists as well, and 8 Man of the Match awards. He's hit an average of above 8 for the 2nd consecutive season. He's just getting better and better. It is truly ridiculous, his performances this year. 2 years left on his contract. We might need to look at that and give him an extension. Because he needs one. And he'll probably complain and want to... Oh, who's interested? Presumably Milan and Tottenham. Interesting. I figured it would be PSG and the usual suspects, but that is interesting. Moving on, Rafael Maka. I like this guy. Look at that. 14 assists this season for Rafael Maka. He really does know how to assist. Like, considering some of his attributes aren't anywhere near the level of Shabal, he steps up when he's been asked to. 3 caps for Poland at the age of 19. He's kind of gone under the radar. He just appeared out of nowhere and started banging assists in. I mean, look at that. 9 assists and 2 Man of the Match awards this year in the league. What a lad. Like, genuinely brilliant player. I want to see what he's got in the future. Marlon, first season at the club. I think he's been all right. 6 goals, 7 assists, or 7 and 7 if you think about that. Hasn't played a great deal, particularly in the Champions League, although he did set up that chance for Paulo Jorge, which left me holding my head in my hands and going to the bakery. So there's that. John Martinez, he's been on loan at GKS this year, and unfortunately, they've really wasted his ability this season by not actually starting him in a single match. I probably should have talked to their manager about that, because that is some nonsense right there. Magotsi, I don't think he's played a single game for us. No, that's a lie. He has been in 1 cup game and 1 league game. Oh, and 1 in the Super Cup too, because I think it was an injury in there. Montañez, actually been pretty impressed with him, considering 11 games in the Champions League and he's averaged a 7, which for a defensive midfielder in our team is actually pretty damn good. So I can't really argue with the ability that this lad has got, and he just does things that I enjoy. Prado, honestly, he's a better player probably, but for whatever reason, like, I don't know, it was the loan spell. It kind of ruined his season, frankly. Abraham Opoku, he's just never quite stepped up to where we expected him to be in the end, unfortunately. Juan Orozco, 28 games for us this year. 5 goals, 3 assists. It's not been like one of his crowning seasons, let's put it that way. I say as actually I look at it and realise that he's only scored more goals than that in 1 season. And in fact, his average rating is up there. So I tell a lie, he's been pretty damn impressive this year. Pandurovic, he's been on loan at Dinamo Kiev and has barely played because obviously the league isn't loaded. Paulo Jorge. No Champions League, well, 5 substitute, but actually, look at that in the league. 10 goals and 2 assists. 10 starts. Not bad, really, for the youngster. Decent backup. I think he's done all right this year, to be fair. Moving along to Ibrahima Pereira. 24 goals this year. I would have liked to have seen more, particularly in the Champions League, is where he's really lacked. Like, really, really lacked. 2 goals and 13 in the Champions League is appalling. He's missed so many opportunities. It's, quite frankly, unbearable how many he missed. Look, I just don't get why he was so bad in the Champions League. Pimentinha hasn't actually been that great, but he hasn't got a lot of chances because he just keeps getting better and better. Maybe a loan spell for him at some point would be quite useful. Piscola has been out on loan at Augsburg this year, conceded an awful lot of goals, unfortunately, but that's just life. Hugo Rios has been on loan at Strasbourg. He's got a few goals, a couple of goals in there. An assist, not too bad for him. Sort of coming along nicely. Salami Özkal hasn't really played for us much. He joined in January, so he's not had much of a chance to play. He's more one for the future. And we're back to Petr Shabal. Right, let's go look at player stats. So possession-wise, comfortably in front this time around. Not the big surprise. But what I would say, Lechia don't get a lot of the ball, it would seem. Hasn't stopped them doing well. 23 penalties taken this year, and we only scored 7. That is a lot of penalties. And the reason for that is because we've got the run at defence strategy, a lot of dribble more, which means players are just getting brought down left, right, and centre. We get so many. That is an insane amount of penalties, I have to say. 23 penalties, and we still managed to miss 6 of them. What a shame. Headers won. Bit low on that one. Headers on ratio, still a bit average, but I guess we're not the tallest in certain areas. Only 24 yellow cards there, but look at that, Lechia, not a foul-y bunch. And no red cards at all. Always nice to see. 131 goals scored. We scored 56 more goals than Lech Poznan. And Swansk only scored 21 in being relegated, so can't really argue with that, can they? 21 goals scored in a 37-game season is appalling. 19% cross completion. Very, very nice. 500 crosses completed. Very nice. Goals from corners, 13. It's still quite high, but I think we've had better than that. Direct free kicks, 6. Up there with Lech. Goals from indirect free kicks, 9. That's a bit more like it. That's much more like it. Best pass completion as well. Wodge really love playing the ball around, don't they? Yeah, this is the weird thing. We don't complete that many passes overall, but we do, yeah, you see what I mean. 77 chances created. We've scored a lot of goals off of not that many chances, really. Shots on target ratio, kind of low, actually, but I guess it's because of the long shots. 519 shots on target, and our conversion ratio, again, is better than, it's 9% in previous years, so we have definitely improved that. Fouls against, we do seem to win quite a lot of fouls. Dribbles per game, always been winning that one. Only 10 goals conceded, our second best defensive season ever. We had a 9-goal season one time, I believe. So that's pretty solid as well. Swansk, yeah, I mean, look at that. Wisła conceded 67 goals. They were in the top half. They came 8th this season, and they conceded the most goals in the entire league. Yet someone like Motor struggled to survive. It's a very weird situation there. Conceded from corners, only 2. Not too bad. Lechia, very bad from defending from corners. Direct free kicks, we conceded 1. Here's the one where we usually suck. To be fair, only 2. Not too bad. 29 clean sheets is ridiculous. Fouls made, we're not a foul-y bunch. Tackles 1. We don't have to win many tackles. Tackles on ratio, that's still a bit concerning, but not that bothered. There we go. No penalties conceded in the entire season. Average attendance is the highest in the league at 31,000. That's really nice to see. Although Zag still got the best average attendance because they're doing great things with a tiny stadium. 17 sellouts to our 14. Could have done with a bit more than that, guys. Highest attendance obviously is 32,000. Lechia and Lech can obviously sell out there, as can Wisła, but nobody wants to actually go see their games. So there's that. Motor, nobody goes to their games anyway, although they do have decent money from what I remember. Net transfer spend. So we raked in, actually, overall, we ended up spending £700,000. Legia brought in 6 million, and look at that, Wodge spent nearly 7 million, as did Motor. You'll notice that GKS Katowice actually made money this time around, so that's kind of interesting as well. Poznan spent 10 million, but now look at the salaries. This is where it always comes out to play, and hello, GKS have actually dropped in the salary chart. They're always second. I think they've cut their wages a little bit. I think they're actually spending less money on salaries this time around, or Poznan have taken huge steps forward. Look at that, Motor, 6th highest salaries in the division. That's crazy. They really should be doing better than they are, to be honest. Cracovia pretty damn low. But it does show, it goes to show that Motor should be doing better. GKS have finally sort of come to their senses financially, it would seem. I just feel like Motor they're one of those clubs that in the future could be like GKS, it seems. Right, let's go to player stats. Player of the match awards are Clevis Selmani, the German, with 9. He's a huge amount. Diego Lopez up there too. Kowalski for Cracovia, pretty damn good too. Interestingly, not a lot of players on there, really, other than Lisic with his 8. Gorosito and Vicente down there on 3. Distance covered, that's not that important. We want distance covered per 90 minutes, really, to see if anyone's really getting about the pitch. Shabal, nice to see. Average rating, this should be all our players. Literally, the highest player that isn't one of ours is 11th place Selmani, and that's a good year. Omar Zapata in there too. Hidalgo, Emrich, yep. Kowalski, who used to play for us. Sorry, not Kowalski. Kowalczyk, who used to play for us. Kone, who used to play for us. Mo Marcelovic, who currently does play for us as well. Comrade Kokot, great surname there. 2 players with an above 8 average rating is insane. And I mean, even Lamas is in there. Almeida, Orozco, Pereira, Carroll as well. Headers 1. Probably not going to have anyone here. Maybe Freitas. Yeah, he's in there. Good to see. Goals scored. 23 goals for Blaise Lisic. Pereira, 16. Vicente, 15. Gorosito with 12, and even George getting on there as well. Any big surprises on this list that I see? Any players I recognise? Obviously, we've got Kovalchik, Serovic, who, of course, 10 goals for him from... Bear in mind, this guy's a centre midfielder, and he's got 10 goals this season in the league. That is ridiculous. Fair play to the lad. Nope, no one else really there. Minutes per goal, not a huge surprise that Blaise Lisic is miles out in front on that one. Shots overall, though, Diego Lopez has had an awful lot of shots. More so than even Brian Gorosito. Lisic scored that many goals off of that many shots too. 81 on target as well. Shots on target percentage. Kovalchik again. Afrenio. Pereira, Jez Norris, who probably leave at the end of the season as well. He's had some decent times out on loan at Zag, I've got to say. Mikhail Zizic, who he finally did start putting some goals in towards the end of the season, it would seem. Although I believe most of those were scored by for Rakov in the first half of the year, so he's not quite hit the ground running quite yet at Lechia, but maybe in future years. Conversion ratio, Blaise Lisic, 20%. Look at that for Carlos, though. And also, Kovalchik, I'm pretty certain he used to play for us. Yes, he did. He's got 161 appearances for Zag, and I've got to say, fair play to the lad. Like, he's a really decent player he's turned into. Team goals. Carroll's been on the pitch for 103 goals. Vicente scored 7 penalties this year, but he could have had 3 more goals. Marlon missed 2 penalties. Lisic missed a penalty. Firmino didn't miss any penalties. He just wasn't on the pitch enough to actually score them. Assists-wise, Lisic and Selmani get the most assists, but Lisic played less games, therefore he wins that one too. For Posse in there, Maka in there, Shabal, Marlon as well, and Gorosito as well. Key passes, right down there with Carroll. That's interesting, actually. None of the other attacking mids listed on here at all. Interesting. Chances created. Mohamed Kone with 14, Lisic with 12, for Posse with 8, and Shabal with 7. Pass completion, it's usually a goalkeeper, but I feel like, yeah, it is. And Orozco with 88% rather. Cross completion, Lisic, again, 24 is just crazy. Although 21 for Posse is pretty damn good as well. Offsides, we're not really that interested in that. Team conceded. Holy crap on a cracker. Okay, this is what I mean about Almeida. He's played 24 games in the league for us and only conceded 2 goals in those matches. Like, yeah, we scored 9... We conceded 10 goals this year, but Almeida, in 24 appearances, was only on the pitch for 2 of them. The guy is a god. Like, that is a real show of just how good we are when he's in the team from a tactical perspective anyway. Mistakes leading to goals. We shouldn't have any on here, I don't imagine. No, that's not too bad. Arca have a player called Hulk, so that's quite nice. Unfortunately, they did get relegated, so that's not quite so nice. Key tackles, probably not going to have anyone listed here. Key headers, we should do. Pereira, 73 is a lot. Freitas and George, not too bad as well. Interceptions, nope, none on there at all. Headers 1 ratio, Orozco always does pretty well on this one too, doesn't he? Goalkeeping, 9 goals conceded for Juan Martin Iglesias is ridiculous as well, we know. Clean sheets, of course, 29 clean sheets for him. The nearest person is Buga, who, after winning the Fortnite World Cup, has now got 17 clean sheets as well in the league, which is not too bad. Right, okay, let's go and check out the squad stats. So, centre-back analysis. We've got Almeida, the Llama, Freitas, and, of course, Bustos. I want to see how they sort of all add up and compare and see if Almeida's been worth the money that we paid for him, essentially. So, pass completion. Freitas and Almeida out in front. Not too bad. The Llama still right there, though. Not negligibly worse. Bustos a tiny bit worse than the others. Team goals per 90 minutes. This is obviously from an attacking perspective. Now, again, they played more in the league, so that kind of makes more sense. From a key passing perspective, though, Bustos has got some decent passing about him. Almeida obviously is a bit more of a ball-playing defender, so it makes sense that he'd have a better passing setup there. What about defensively? Bustos, again, actually the worst, sorry. The Llama and Almeida right out there. Freitas probably would have played more in the Champions League, so I guess that makes more sense. Tackles 1, though. Freitas at 92%, Almeida at 89%. You can see the Llama isn't quite there yet, and neither is Mariano Bustos. They're just not quite on that level, particularly as they would have played against worse players. Interceptions as well. Freitas really, really high. Bustos pretty decent. Almeida isn't great with the interceptions, nor is he great in the air, in all honesty. The Llama, decent in the air. Freitas, decent too. Bustos, not bad, but Almeida really has struggled in that sense. And honestly, looking at this, I don't feel like he's probably been worth it. But then what's also worth than pointing out is that 24 appearances, 2 goals conceded while he was on the pitch. So there's obviously something he's doing that's working. Because look, 7.62 is pretty decent. Freitas is still standing out there, and I think Almeida still had a really good year, but it does certainly... I don't know if £100 million was the best spent in that particular area. You can see that Bustos isn't quite there yet, but I think, you know, a couple more seasons and he would be ready to sort of take into the fold, and he's definitely a very, very capable backup, particularly in the league. We've got a really good defensive setup here, frankly. Right, let's move on to fullbacks. So, much like every year, it's simply a test of how close does Maka come to Shabal and Veras come to Albarracin. We're just basically trying to see, is there room to displace one of the stalwarts from the first team squad? Is there any reason to do that, essentially? So, assists per 90 minutes. Maka comfortably outdoing Petr Shabal. Attack-wise this season, Maka with 14 assists. He's got 4 more assists and he's played about 200 less minutes overall. So, to me, that suggests that he's just better going forward. Like, that's a noticeable difference. And Albarracin, as you can see, is only marginally better than Veras from a creative standpoint. So he's going to have to hope that he's better in other areas. He really is. So this is quite important stuff. Chance created per 90 minutes. Shabal and Maka fairly level-headed on that one. So maybe people just aren't putting away Shabal's chances as much. Veras outdoes Albarracin on chances created per 90 minutes as well. So that's definitely worth taking into account. Pass completion, Maka and Shabal dead heat on 79%. Albarracin just outstripping Thiago Veras. So at the moment, like, it's neck and neck in a lot of these positions, and I feel like there's going to have to be some part where they start to distinguish themselves here. Key passes. Shabal slightly higher than Rafael Maka. Albarracin outdoing Veras very comfortably on the key passes. So that's definitely one side of things. Dribbling, it's a similar story. Shabal is a much better dribbler of the ball than Maka, like about 25% better, and Albarracin definitely outdoes Veras on that side of things. Shots on target, not that important. Cross completion, Veras a reasonable amount better, and Maka is also a reasonable amount better. So both of the younger players have got the one up on their senior rivals, so to speak. From a defensive standpoint, Shabal, yes, definitely the better of the two defensively, but we'll have a look at more of his defensive output, perhaps, rather than this to get a fair shake. But what I would say is Shabal probably played more in the harder games too, particularly in the first half of the year. Tackles 1 ratio, I mean, it goes without saying there. It's a full 9% better there. It's a definite improvement. Shabal is a better defensive player, which is something we have said every single time, actually. When Olivier was here too, he was always the sort of flashy going forward type of player. Interceptions-wise, let's see. Albarracin really, really good at intercepting. Veras very, very poor. Maka outdoes Shabal on that side of things, though. In terms of headers, Maka, again, really, really good in the air, comparatively speaking. So this is a really interesting conundrum we're faced with here, essentially, where Albarracin, I still think, is the starting player, but there's definite areas where he's not as good. Chance creation, slightly worse, but he does get more assists. He's a better key passer. He doesn't complete as many crosses, though, and we're more miserly when he's not in the team, but he does. I think Albarracin would definitely still be the starting left-back for next season. As for the right-hand side, honestly, Shabal and Maka could easily interchange, depending on the scenario. If we were in a more defensive sort of game, perhaps Petr Shabal is just better at that. But then again, Maka's got great defensive ability in the air. His tackling isn't as great, but I really don't know. There's a few areas where Maka is just as good, if not better, than Petr Shabal, particularly going forward. So, fact is, having that setup is really, really useful. Anyway, I don't really know if there's any point in looking at DMs, because we barely played them, and Montañez, there was 2 games that Coronel played, but there's not enough data from that to really take that seriously for me. So we're going to move straight to CMs. CMs. Roscoe and Gorosito predominantly played there. Idshak's also played there for a decent amount of minutes, as has Jose Francisco. So there's enough to take into account and sort of see how we're kind of doing on this side of things. So, goals per 90 minutes. Gorosito, I mean, we knew that was going to happen. He's been phenomenal this year. 16 goals in 31 games. 17, I swear, but I guess this doesn't take into account the Super Cup, maybe? I think it's just because of the way that this is set up, unfortunately. So it might not be exactly the same as what you saw on the other thing, because... Well, does that count that? 15, 16. Yeah, so it's counting the lower league Polish Cup. I think he must have been selected for a B team game. So yeah, it's a bit skewed in that sense, but still not too bad. Jose Francisco, decent amount too. Roscoe, you know, average. But Idshak, nothing. Not a single goal this season for Bartolomei Idshak, and I swear he scored a goal at some point. No, he got one in a friendly, and that is about it. He's got one. He's just, I don't know what it is with Idshak. I really don't know what it is. Assists wise, Francisco, really decent. Gorosito, really decent as well. Orozco, a little bit lower than that one, but still okay. And Idshak, again, just so poor with only 1 assist. Pass completion, fine. Gorosito's a little bit worse than that, but does it really matter at this point? It really doesn't to me. Francisco, decent chance creation. Idshak, not too bad on that, actually. Gorosito's not created that many. Wait, really? Huh. That's kind of interesting. Maybe because they're playing against worse opponents, I'm not really sure. Key passes per 90 minutes. Idshak makes a lot of key passes, but not much else, it would seem. He's just very ineffective. Gorosito, decent amount as well. Tackles 1. Again, Idshak's putting up some solid numbers. Interceptions, second most out of that bunch as well. Headers 1. Other than Orozco, who's a dominant force in the air, they're all kind of much the same, really. He doesn't, I mean, again, yeah, they're all pretty poor in the air except Orozco. Team conceded per 90 minutes. Idshak, pretty damn solid. 7.22, it's just that, and 2 Man of the Match awards as well. I don't know. He's lacking a lot of the fancy stats, the goals and assists side of things. And maybe he does just keep things ticking over as in a midfield too, but I don't know. I feel like in this sort of strategy, you want more from that. Whereas Francisco has got 4 assists and 3 goals whilst playing in the system, and often with Idshak in those games. So I just don't know what it is. Interestingly, Francisco's actually put on a better average rating this season than Juan Orozco, whereas Gorosito's just blown everyone out the water. We've got youngsters coming through like Salami and whatnot. Yeah, is it Salami? It is Salami, isn't it? So yeah, it's Idshak, I'm concerned about him, is all I will say on that one. Let's move on to attacking mids. Okay, so we're really looking at the comparison between Vicente and Carroll. However, Pimentina has to be taken into account as well, as he is the youngster with the potential to maybe go that far as well. So goals are important for this role, and as you can see, Vicente is the king of the goals. 0.76 is comfortably the best. Carroll, 0.44, I think is actually a pretty decent return for him as well. Pimentina, just not on the same level as these guys just yet. Mainly because of the lot of substitute appearances, perhaps, but there's still a decent amount of minutes that he could have maybe done something with. 700 minutes is nothing to be sniffed at. Assist-wise, Carroll, much better from the assist side of things. Vicente really has struggled to provide assists for other players, mainly because he's relying on getting on the end of stuff, I'm guessing. Carroll is a bit more creative. He's more of an advanced playmaker type of player when he plays up there. He can score goals, but he can also provide for others, and it's really noticeable when he plays, as you can see. Pimentina, not bad. Chance created? Again, Pimentina looks like he's got a bit of creativity about him. Carroll, again, pretty damn solid. Vicente falling off, but we kind of know what type of player he is, so that's not a huge surprise. Pass completion, Carroll and Vicente, very decent at passing. It's just the types of passes they do makes more sense. Carroll completes way more passes, which suggests to me that he's playing more intricate stuff, whereas Vicente is just sort of spreading the ball wide a little bit. Key passes per 90 minutes, again, sort of would play that out in the fact that Carroll is much, much better than Vicente at providing a key pass or two. Pimentina, though, decent from the passing side of things, which suggests to me that he might have a bit of both. If he could improve his goal scoring a little bit, he could definitely work on the assist side of things to be maybe more like a Carroll type of player, it would seem. Headers 1 ratio, though, he does really lack the aerial presence that both Vicente and Carroll do have decent aerial presence. Pimentina needs to hit his shots on target more. That's a real issue here. 24% is shockingly poor, considering. Carroll, 41 isn't that great either. If he could just get this up to a decent level, like, if he could have got this close to 50%, he could have maybe got himself at least another 2 or 3 goals with this tally if he just hit the target a bit more. As you can see here, he's not a bad dribbler, but Vicente's just that little bit better. They all cover the ground reasonably well. I think these two are pretty much balanced for that role. Pimentina is a solid backup, but he definitely needs to do a bit of work, and maybe is more of a Carroll type of player than a Vicente. That's sort of my basic analysis of that. Gorosito has probably played in this role a couple of times as well, just out of sheer necessity in some of the league matches, maybe, just to rotate things around. But for the most part, it's been these 3. Although really, it's been Vicente and Carroll operating, depending on what sort of player you need. But you can really see how, just by doing these analysis, you can sort of understand that different games call for different things. In the same way that we looked at Treverio last season and analysed, by the way, he's done rubbish at PSG. He's made like 6 appearances all season. What a waste of money he was for them. Gave us 70 million quid though, so I'm not knocking it. Okay, so wingers. I'm not including Donny Waterberg in this because he's just not played enough. He's made like 200 minutes worth of appearances, whereas all these guys have got at least 1,000. Even Broniszewski, who I believe is probably going to be the weakest link in amongst all of these, but we will see. We will genuinely see. So goals per 90 minutes. I mean, look at that. Blaise Lisic nearly has a 1-to-1 ratio in this, which is even better than last season. Marlon at 0.44. It's not great, but it's better. It's reasonable numbers for that left-hand side. Honestly, it's just the fact that Blaise Lisic is putting up Ballon d'Or winning numbers that makes him look worse. What I would say, though, on the right, for Posse at 0.29 is levelled out with Broniszewski's 0.29. So Broniszewski's kept pace with him in the goal-scoring front this season. That's probably more of a disappointment on the Posse's side, because if I believe last season he was more at the 0.41 level. So he's dropped off on the goal scoring aspect of things. Lisic on the assists too is not bad. Marlon's level on both of those, which isn't bad. For Posse, definitely much better on the assist than Broniszewski. He's provided more goals for other players. So he's definitely holding that position down without a problem. And Lisic's dominating here, as you would imagine. Chances created. Lisic and Marlon, pretty damn good. For Posse, solid. Broniszewski just hasn't created opportunities for people, but he has created assists, so that's a weird opportunity, and you'd have to look at the difference between the two. Like, assists can come from various areas, and they don't count as chances, and you'd have to look at the actual assists he's had to sort of understand what types of goals he's creating. That's definitely something you could look at if you were trying to analyse why he's got decent assists per 90 minutes, but his chance creation per 90 minutes is really poor. Looking at the crosses side of things, I mean, this is so evident, it's unbelievable. Marlon and Lisek at 24, Foposi at 22, and Broniszewski at 9%, which suggests to me that the assists he does have were not from crosses, probably. And that's one massive weak part of his game. I don't think his crossing's even that bad, is it? Crossing of 13 compared to Foposi's 14, and yet he has 9% cross completion compared to 22. It's utterly amazing, but there's a definite disparity there that you could investigate further if you were in the middle of a season and look at that and go, right, why is this happening? What can we change around it to maybe make him better, or understand that perhaps when he's in the team, we need to do other things, essentially. That's the sort of stuff we're going to be doing with Huesca. Pass completion, really good for all of them. Basically, you could throw a blanket over them, which is what I like to see. Key passes, for Posse, really good. Marlon and Lisek, really good. Broniszewski, again, poor on the key passing side of things. I think maybe his assists might be somewhat fortunate, and it's maybe boosting his numbers in artificially, because everything else is suggesting that he should not be having that many assists. Lisek is hitting so many more shots on target as well. But Broniszewski's not bad compared to Foposi on that one. Dribbles per game, the lowest, but not that much off. And Marlon's actually made more dribbles than Blaise Lisek. He's a proper dribbler of a player, so he does offer us something slightly different in that role. Not that Lisek is bad, but I believe his dribbling is like, what, 16 maybe? And Marlon's is 16. So he's obviously doing other stuff. Maybe he's got slightly bit more pace and power just to drive past people. But I would look in the future, probably what I will do is look for another right-sided player, because I just don't feel like Broniszewski is a sensible backup. And if Foposi had a more serious injury this season and wasn't able to play 39 times from the start, then we might well have struggled on that right-hand side. In fact, you know, Lisek hasn't played every single match, but you can see that Marlon's played a decent amount, whereas Foposi's been forced to play a lot of the time, and Broniszewski just hasn't been quite as effective when he's come in. Though from a goal scoring perspective, he kind of has. But yeah, I'm just not entirely convinced by Broniszewski at the moment, so I would definitely look for that. Right, finally, strikers. This is going to be an interesting one. So last but not least, we're on to strikers, to sort of see who's been most effective this year. Obviously, Pereira's played a lot more minutes than the others, but I do want to see kind of... He's still only 23, remember? And you can see here that George has actually been the most effective with 10 goals this year. He's at 0.76, Firmino at 0.75, Pereira slightly below that, but I guess with the more Champions League appearances, that's kind of dragged that down a little bit. And he was really poor in the Champions League. It's undeniable how bad he was. Only 2 goals in 13, and you saw the amount of chances the guy missed. Just looking at our composure stats for these guys, by the way. 14 composure on him, and George has got 16 composure. To me, they shouldn't be missing the amount of one-on-ones that they do. And I think that's just a sort of a visual match engine thing in FM19. It seems that players in general, be it AI or player controlled, if you like, seem to just miss more of the one-on-one opportunities than they should be. It feels like in real life, those would be going in maybe 7, 8 times out of 10, whereas here it's like 2 times out of 10, maybe even less. I actually can't remember the last time someone was scored, so that's a bit concerning. Assists per 90 minutes though, Firmino, again, decent numbers. George, once again, better numbers than Ibrahima Pereira, unfortunately for him. In terms of chance creation, Firmino, Pereira is a little bit better on that one. Passes overall, Firmino doesn't know how to complete them so many, and Pereira does know how to complete a pass, but they don't complete that many in general. He does love a key pass though, as does Firmino, so I don't know, he hits the target a reasonable amount, and if anything, if George could hit the target more, he'd get even more goals at this point. He's hitting shots on target. Look at that, it's a decent number of shots on target per 90 minutes. When he's in the team, he gets shots on target. Shots per 90 minutes as well. Look at that. 8 points. He averages nearly 8.5 shots per game, which is an awful lot of shots, comparatively speaking. Pereira's just not taking as many shots. Has he got like a PPM? Plays short, simple passes, no through balls, does not dive into tackles. Cuts aside. No, he doesn't really. He just seems to be getting a lot of shots on. He's winning a decent number of headers too. Look at that. 6.41. I don't know if he's got a bit more height on Pereira. He's 6 foot tall to Pereira's 5'11", so I guess that's having an effect. But he's much better in the air. He's dribbling more. He's doing an awful lot of things, which makes me think that he might be in the running to overtake the number 1 striker spot next season, because he's put up the best numbers. Now, of course, you know, Champions League and whatnot, there are differences there, but one of these 3 guys is going to have to take the mantle, and I do wonder if Pereira might be getting it wrestled away from him, particularly as their abilities are basically all neck and neck. So it's not like we're saying, oh, this guy's poor in terms of ability. They're all right there, and I do wonder if next year maybe George should get some more starts in some of the bigger matches and maybe get him closer to 2,000 minutes, rotate them around a little bit. I don't know. We'll talk about that on stream. So here endeth the final one of these. I'm just going to stretch myself out because I have a massive headache. Word of the day. Okay, the word of the day is going to be giraffe. Use it in a sentence because there was a mug on my desk where I had my lovely caramel latte in it earlier. It's got a giraffe face on it because because there you go. So yeah, that's your word of the day. If you got this far into the video, do drop that in the comments. That would be awesome. And yeah, I hope that you guys are looking forward to doing Huesca with me. I think we can all learn something along the way about the sort of the intricacies of this game that are somewhat ignored by most people, frankly, me included. And I really want to learn more about it to make me better as a player going forward, because I think that no matter how good anyone is, and I'm certainly not good, there's always room to learn and get better, you know? You're never done learning, because if you're done learning, then yeah, I think that's it's just not true. So yeah, drop a like, that'd be dope. And yeah, if you're new to the channel and this is the first video you've watched, subscribe as well, that'd be awesome. And I will see you guys later in the week, probably on Sunday. Remember, it'll be 7 o'clock for the start of Huesca, and from videos moving forward will all be at 7 o'clock on the evening. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.